Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
November 11, 2020, the Honor a Veteran on Veterans Day edition. Next up, Boeing faces additional penalties for its, or rather tied to the 2015 safety settlement. U.S. aviation authorities, as reported by the Wall Street Journal, are considering new safety-related penalties and other enforcement actions against Boeing, according to a person briefed on the details, even as they prepare to allow the plane maker's beleaguered 737 MAX fleet back in the air as soon as the middle of the week. The FAA has alerted Boeing that the alleged quality control lapses on assembly lines and undue management pressure on engineers certifying safety systems could amount to violation of the 2015 settlement regarding safety oversight and make Boeing, that unfriendly word, a recidivist. The agency is examining several issues on several models. Next up, also from the Wall Street Journal, the United Kingdom said that it will require companies to report the financial impacts on climate change on their businesses within the next 5 years, becoming the first country to make disclosures mandatory as investors and governments demand corporations curb their greenhouse gas emissions. The Chancellor of the Exchequer said Monday that the rule would apply to most of the nation's economies, including listed companies, banks, private businesses, insurers, asset managers, and regulated pensions funds. This can only be seen as a progressive step forward. Of course, the United States is nowhere near having this type of step, but certainly with the United Kingdom requiring it, almost every multinational company headquartered in the U.S. does business and has operations in the United Kingdom. So they'll be required to do so in the United Kingdom. If they have to do so in the United Kingdom, at least investors in the U.S. will have that information, even if the SEC doesn't require it. But things might well change under a Biden administration. Next up, Amazon, this is from the New York Times. Amazon is charged with antitrust violation by EU regulators. They brought antitrust charges against Amazon Tuesday, saying the online retail giant broke competition laws by unfairly using its size and access to data to harm smaller merchants that rely on the company to reach their customers. The EU Commission, the executive branch of the EU 27-nation bloc, said Amazon had abused its dual role as both a store used by scores of vendors and a merchant that is selling its own competing goods on the platform. The authorities accused Amazon of harvesting non-public data from the sellers, who then use it in the marketplace to spot popular products, then copy and sell them, often at a lower price. Of course, during the coronavirus health crisis, this has become even more acute, with many small businesses, particularly in Europe, having to close due to various country closures from the coronavirus health crisis. So Amazon really wants to have it two ways. They want to be a seller, and they want to be a platform, and they want to harvest the information from the platform to help them as sellers, to undercut what they perceive as their competition. So it's going to be an interesting case against Amazon in the EU, and what that happens or what it portends for Amazon in the United States. Finally, today, November 11th, is Veterans Day. If you know a veteran, call them up and thank them. I used to take veterans out for a cup of coffee on November 11th, but I can't do that this year. So join me in calling one veteran and thanking them for their service to our country. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.